point is this. Well, for us, life is good. I mean, it has never been as good. We know that what our situation is. But we want to do what's good for, let's call it humanity, for the earth and the same. We've always thought from years ago that it would be a small percentage of people in the FBI that really believe in the Constitution. Okay, wherever those people are, they got to come out of hide. They got to stop worrying about being a whistleblower or getting well, I'll lose this. Well, you're going to lose it anyway. Your family's going to drown like hell. If you're in Kentucky, your family's drowning like everybody else. Right? They got to come to, this is not the old days where you're going to flip a switch and everybody's going to be saved. It never was. But this is now time for collective, the people that know who we are, that have been paying attention to us for all of these decades, that I know for almost 60 years. Why do I know that? I know them because when they start influencing the direction that we're going in to influence us away from black nationalism, it's because they've made little studies and they said that we got to get this guy away because he has a record of being leadership. They know what they're doing. So they directed, I'm not going to go into the detail, but they directed me towards selling marijuana and stuff. And every time something came along, exile, they was there. And down in Colombia, they was there. In Venezuela, they was there. In Mexico, they were there. Okay, I already know that. Because when I picked up on it, I started studying. This is like right now, I know what we're saying is basically the truth with human certainty because it's redundant, it's repetitious. We didn't forecast almost everything point by point and they've responded. Now here's the point. It's beyond our ability to do anything, like us, right? This stuff is happening so big and so fast. We don't have time to raise a cadre of people. And they will get the truth and they will kind of think on it a while and they will, that time, it's long past, but it's definitely, you can look out the window and see it. For the last 25 or 30 years, we've been using floods of biblical proportions. We started over on 8th Street. That was in. Okay. The same thing about forest fires. And these idiots, this is a time for divine intervention, and that's what we're trusting on. Divine intervention. Now, we don't know how far this is going to go. What we do know is the earth is a living organism, right? White folks didn't, it was 25 years ago when they figured that out. They did. National Public Radio, we made a great discovery that said, what was that on? The earth is a living organism. basically insane before. But for you to admit that before last week you didn't think the earth was a living organism. It's a living body. And bodies, they want to get rid of this, they heat it up, they eat it chills, you shiver to death, you know what I mean? Automatic, right? Okay, and other things too. Everything that the earth is doing is normal for a body that's being made sick. It's being made sick. It was no pollution before. Whatever pollution, fine, the swamp would draw it on up. Distill the water. Can you imagine? It distills the water, send it back somewhere else. You can't get it any better. It's distilled. Liquid, gas, you know what I mean, fumes, clouds, liquid again, either as snow or water, and you can drink it. Even in the country, we had rain barrels on the roof. I mean, you had a rain barrel right next to the roof, and all the water that came down in the rain barrel, you didn't have to go out to the pump to get it right, because you had no system. Water. It was rain. Now people today would say, I see a little couple of specks, you know, like a dummy now would hold up a glass of water. What does he think the water in the stream? Does he think it looks like that water they have in a bottle? Right, there's nothing floating in it, you know what I mean? There's no little leafy. I have family like that. Forget it, they all get sick all the time, and I ain't never sick. You know, I don't know. But I drink that, you know. I mean, I drink it, you know. I drink the water out of the fountain, the faucet. The thing is, what? That's not, it's up to you. Everybody else can go down there and get these bottles. We put the water out for them, but I don't drink it. Maybe every now and then but I'm not going to go, especially I have to have that to drink, right? Anyway, it's ridiculous. Because I used to go out, that was my job. As a little boy, I would go out to the pump and pump the water and bring it inside. That was my job. Boy, that was good water. But guess what? If you all put it in a glass and look at it, it would be stuff floating in that water. It wouldn't have been through a distillery. Anyway, so the earth is a living organism. And just think how beautiful and clean the earth was some hundreds of years ago. I mean, with the plagues and with all of that stuff, but the earth in general was a nice place. That was wonderful. It ain't like that no more, and the earth didn't do it. And the earth got enough sense to know if it's living when it's sick, and they got enough sense to scratch where it's, and they're going to scratch the human being off of this boy. They think coronavirus or something, the earth going to manufacture a few things that's going to beat all of your stuff. You're going to do right on me, you're going to clean me up. You're going to clean me up, or I'll clean up myself without you, which that's the choices that I believe right now. Either the people of the earth will clean up the earth, or the earth will get rid of them and clean up itself. It'll depopulate these bottoms, so it won't be. 10 million people on Earth or something. Problem solved, right? After one generation, the oceans will be fresh and clean. The water will be fresh and clean. Everybody will go back to its natural right. But the earth is not going to put up with boss man. Just, hey man, he goes over the limit. Anyway, I don't want to repeat myself. Let's see if we can wrap this up.
So what you're talking about now is going into a period of the post-traumatic growth period, preparing for what you're talking about?
No. Let me try to put it where we are. We really appreciate post-traumatic growth. Because when you look at us, everybody would be sad. Oh, you got 8 pieces of property in D.C.? Nobody lives there. This big, beautiful Masjid just need a little upkeep. Nobody's there. They would be sad for us. They would think that that's the way we don't feel like that at all. Okay. Post-traumatic growth and psycho-spiritual warfare comes into play. Example. Psycho-spiritual warfare is, in other words, if you got an enemy and he's deficient in certain things, well, that's what you should use to fight. So mind, psycho, spiritual, definitely deficient in spiritualism. And mind power, look at America right now. The world is in shock. They laughing at everything they're doing. They had Miss Pelosi ready to go over to China the other day. They said, well, she probably won't go because she's upset, got upset stomach. The Chinese told them, look, man, we took all we can from y'all. If you do this here, it's going to be a slippery slope. We have already lived through oppression. Oppression is worth the dying. This boss man, he never lived through oppression. Those other people, they are 100 years of defeat. And they talk about it. And see, boss man, he don't know. I want to change the subject for once. Not change the subject, but when I left the country in 71, I went to Algeria. I went other way, but when I wound up in Algeria, it was a lot of Japanese there, because Algeria has some oil. Japan is an island nation, so. And I looked at the Japanese, going through their routine, and what I said right away, I realized everywhere you went, there was Japanese there. When I was in East Africa, they just came out with a new squeaky, they used to have a Leland Land Rover. The Land Rover. They still have a Land Rover, but it's now sharp, Then, remember that old Jeep-looking vehicle that was a Land Rover? They had then they had a new one called a Toyota Land Cruiser. It squeaked. It made noise. Put it out on the road now and see what happens. The big fat tires, that's the baddest boy on the road, Toyota Land Cruiser. Point is, although the U.S. had defeated the Japanese physically, but now the Japanese is coming back, but they're not going to defeat the U.S. in a war. knocked Japan back down to, well, they're number 3 now, but China, all those people, they got other stuff to see. Boss man ain't lost a big fight before. He just had lost one. And the one between him and himself, the North and the South, which was as big as war, 677,000 people dead. Good God Almighty. Vietnam, 58,000 people. Korea, 50-something thousand people. World War II, I forget the exact number, but it wasn't a whole lot. The Civil War, 670,000 people when the population didn't have 10 or 15 people in America. Right? So the United States don't know defeat. That's one of the reasons it keeps on acting like a damn fool. We're gonna put a rabbit out of the hat. We're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. Exceptionism, everybody except us.
Right.
The British, they failed, they deserved it, except us. The Romans, they were not us. They failed, they accept us. And they wear it on their sleeve. And no matter what you do, you can't, they got a few thinkers that you can hear them say that, hey, we got to do something. But they won't let nobody help them. That's our position. What our position is, it's not just post-traumatic growth. We've already gone through our evolutionary stages. We believe we've arrived. We've arrived, and here we are, America. We don't want to do nothing to you. You don't have to need nothing. All we want to do is help. Well, we saying the boss man, you got to put us on the chart, put us out front, because you don't have nobody else even thinking about it. They don't have anybody else with the training, right? With the vision to coordinate it. You know what I mean? To know what to say at what time and who to. Okay, we're not going to just demand, we're going to overrun you and make you do nothing. We ain't doing none of that. We sit right here and we tell him, boss man, you need help. If you want to do something about it, you can cooperate with us. And we'll sign a little thing. I know you lie all the time. But this is what we want to do. And we might be able to help. Otherwise, you're already going to hell. And ain't nothing nobody can do. You know what I mean? Nobody can stop you. You have too much power. That's why it was 20 years ago I told the FBI, I had told them I want to talk to them. And these idiots thought that I wanted to come down there and surrender and, and become a snitch. And I know one of the things I told them was, I said that, they was talking about some of the terrorism and stuff. If you read what we have coming over, I said, have y'all ever read a history book? That was a long time ago. Have you ever read a history book? Okay. So about post-traumatic growth and where we are, we have already and we are experiencing our post-traumatic growth. We feel that we're emotionally and psychological and taskia nas cleansed enough to where what they have, we don't want that. If I spent so many million on the school, I still live the same as living downstairs. Or when I live back there, I already had, you know what I mean? others, I've already had that. That's a big deal. Because other people, they haven't had it, and it looks so shiny and good that no matter how many people die from it, it's like bait. They gotta bite at it.
And even at this time, they still seeking it.
They seeking it now.
Right, okay.
They seeking it now, and they know that the people that's got it is telling them, hey man, Kanye West was somewhere a couple of months ago, crying like a baby after the damn fool. Right? And, what's her name? Negrocious go up and bust the other Negro in the mouth. For no reason. I mean, he thought it was just a joke, you know. The devil got onto him. That's what's his name? The old Negro now told him. Denzel told him the devil, man. The point is, I'll try to put it where we are. We're not in a state of inactivity, like, okay, we're giving up, we're throwing the towel. No, we're not anywhere. That's not where we are. We're at the point of things that's moving so fast, downhill, and there's so much coordination, so much help needed, that we're ready to go into position, but we're gonna need your news media, your so-and-so, your everything, to help coordinate all of those people who want to do something but don't know what to do. So we have to coordinate publicity. So we have to have the white folks that have everything and they're white to tell everybody that they think it's right. This is fluff. And we want to clean up the earth. They have the face, they can do it. They can mobilize. We can't do it because of the, right? But we could coordinate them and mobilize them in conjunction with where we're coming from. That we have the package ready to go. We have the package ready to go. Well, what are you waiting for? It's on Boston. It's not on us.